When I start thinking about a project, um, things are not as clear as they appear for you when you watch the film at the end. So life is very complex and very ambiguous. So I try to preserve some of it in the film. It's true, the film speaks about not so much about corruption, but about corruption as well. It speaks about compromise. I make a difference. For me, compromise, it's the less moral solution that all of us take in a certain moment in our life to solve easier a thing which could have been solved differently, but it would have taken more energy and more time and more, you know. So I wanted to speak about this. I wanted to speak about the fact that we express disappointment about the societies in which we live, all of us, but we never relate it to our responsibility. We always speak about the others. Somebody else from the others is guilty that the society doesn't cherish these moral values, but actually we have a lot of responsibility. We never start by analyzing the decisions that we made. So I wanted to speak about the perspective upon his own life and about society of somebody who reaches this level, this peak of 50, when the most important decisions of your life are already behind, and you look back and you look forward. When you look back, maybe you're not proud of all the decisions that you made. When you look forward, the only thing that you can still change is related to your children. And the only hope is that you can, I don't know, encourage them to make different choices than yours. There is no general regulation who can say, is it okay to do this or not? But if you have a moral conscience, you will always know if it's okay, it's acceptable or not. And the thing is that whatever you decide, you need to learn that there will be consequences. Of course, we all pass in our lives in moments in which it seems that there was no other way. It was the only way possible. But maybe you can solve a situation making a compromise for the moment. If you don't address it later on to change the pattern, this will be repeated. And the responsibility is yours. I hope it's not a moral film. It's not condemning compromise or anything. It's depicting the way life exists. And it speaks about the difficulty of making decisions on the real ground, on a theoretical level, it's very easy, but how will you handle the practical day-by-day situations? This is the problem. And the difficulty comes with the fact that there is no answer. It's only you who can decide. And, this is not so much in the film, but it's present in our everyday life situation, and it's present in the everyday life situation of a parent. You can tell your children a lot of wonderful things about truth, about how it's good to tell the truth and respect regulations and everything. And then you meet practical situations in which all this theoretical thing doesn't help him at all in solving it. What will you do? I don't know. You will have to find a solution which fits both these courses. But on the long term, I think that the society will look accordingly, as well as the energy that you invested in changing it. Well, honestly, I don't think that very young people think about life in these terms. I don't think they notice that they have duties. I think that the conscious of the fact that you are the result of your own decisions comes a bit later on. I would be very happy to notice that people of, young people of 14, 18, 21, 25 have this consciousness that they are the result of their own decisions, and there are some moral issues about which you need to consider, and but I'm not sure that this happens very often. In the film, the situation is very clearly marked, so they need to address the situation, but I'm not sure that at the end the daughter representing the young generation, if you want, can make a very, very different choice than his own. It's not clear for me, because she's not a formed personality, she's not a formed character. What the film tries to speak about is that there are little hopes to expect that younger people will act differently than we did unless we change something in the example that we give to them. Not in the discourse that we have for them. This is very easy. But, we speak a lot here and about family, about education, about corruption, about this film. But this film is also about family. It's about the way family looks. People of this age are the result of a lot of compromises, including about family. This film in particular is about, parents who decide that living in a kind of compromise to one another is more acceptable than making the choice of living separately. It's not clear if it's better or not. This is everybody else's choice. It speaks about how complex life can become at a certain point, and that, all the decisions that you make will reflect upon the decisions that your child will make. And from this perspective, I think that we have a main character in the film who took a lot of controversial decisions, but he hopes at the end that his child will be very moral, because his discourse was very moral. His discourse was, but the decisions that he made were not necessarily. It's about the fact that such situations are not simple, and people will always camouflage the motivations behind their decisions when they make a compromise. They will always try to make it look acceptable, and that it was unavoidable, and they will always try to hide between this idea that they do this just once as a personal favor because the situation is special, but actually they are not like this. And as you know, people say a lot of bullshit and a lot of rubbish in their life. It's not like this. We all try to claim that we are better than we really are. In order to be able to live yourself at a certain age with yourself, you need to create this kind of self-image of respect. But sometimes deep inside, precisely. You shouldn't be deceived in a film by what people say. I try to make a kind of realistic cinema in which I quote the discourse that I see next to me that people have, but they say a lot of bullshit. They lie a lot. And even this main character in the film, maybe he looks very moral at the end, but he lies a lot. I make the portrait of a person who feels this huge burden of feeling guilty, of feeling anxious. He feels, that there's somebody watching him. But because he's not truthful to himself, and this brings a huge pressure to you in your life if you're not truthful. So the film is a little bit more complex in my mind than just tackling some, all these problems are there, but it's also about this ambiguity of life and of people.